As a photographer, your camera really needs to become part of you, and that's where custom settings come in. And today I'm going to show you how I've got mine set up on my Canon EOS R5. In the video today, I'm going to go through how I've got my R5 set up. And I hope you find something in this video that'll help you get your camera configured just right. So let's talk custom modes first of all. The Canon R5 has 6, 3 for photo, 3 for video. And basically they're like the presets on an old car stereo. You can set your camera up how you want it and then save that as one of the custom modes. I don't use the custom modes on the photography side because I don't have a set of go-tos that I always use. But on the video side, I do. You find the custom modes under the spanner menu, or wrench if you're American. So as soon as you've got the camera set the way you want it, I'm talking shutter speed, frame rates, whether it's in log or not, all these things. Once you've got them set the way you want, hop into the spanner menu and click on custom shooting mode. Then you get to choose which custom mode you want to save this to. You tap on that, you scroll across to OK, click, and boom, you're done. So now when you put your camera into C1, it'll automatically set itself up as it was the first time you saved those settings. And obviously you can use C2 and C3 for different setups. So now you know how to set them, let's have a look how I've got mine configured. So let's start at the beginning with C1. This is my go-to, I use this most of the time. This is the standard 24 frames per second filming. It's set at 24 frames per second. I've got the ISO locked in at 800 because that's the native ISO of the R5. And I've got it in C-Log 3. If you're not sure what C-Log is, I'll link to a few videos that explain that really well. Now this isn't everything I would set on the camera, this is just my starting point. Things like your white balance, your f-stop, all these other things you can tweak. Moving over to C2, this is the one I use when I want to shoot slow-mo at 120 frames per second. So the only thing that's really changed here is the shutter speed. Everything else is the same as C1, and it is for C3 as well. And then lastly, C3 is one I don't use very often. It's the same as the other two, but it's set up for filming at 60 frames per second. So why even use these custom modes if they only contain a few things? Well, even if it's just changing the frame rate and the shutter speed, it's still quicker than wading in through menus to change those things. You can do it almost immediately, and you can be sure you've got all the settings right for that frame rate. The other big change I make to my cameras is a custom button config, namely the AF on and the star button on the rear of the camera. I use these to set focus. In both photo and video modes, the AF on button, which is the easiest one to reach with your thumb, is set to do standard focus. I always have it in single point AI survey. This means that if I just tap that AF on button, my camera will focus on the subject. If I hold it down, it will track a moving subject. The star button is the one I use to activate face tracking. This is brilliant when you're actually shooting a human or an animal, but if you're shooting anything else like product photos or landscapes, you need more control over what the camera is focusing on, and that's where I use the single point focus. And my final tweak is the multifunction button that's just next to the shutter button. I use this to really quickly flick between photo and stills. Yes, you can do it by pressing mode and then info, but why press 2 buttons when you can just do one? So that's how I've tweaked my camera to make my photo and video life that little bit slicker. It does, however, mean that nobody else can use my camera unless I put it in auto mode. I hope you found this interesting. If you're going to try any of my tweaks on your camera, or if you've got a tweak that I should try, let me know down in the comments. And of course, while you're down there, there's a nice red subscribe button. Cheers. That's it for now. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.